Last time on Hakai. Upon meeting the deities and angels of the other 11 universes, it was put to a vote who the next destroyer to replace Champa would be, Goku or Vegeta. With a tally of 24-0, it was decided that the prince would be the best man for the job. But Zeno had other plans, overturning the ballot and giving the position to his friend Goku. As our hero takes off to begin the ceremony to make the questionable decision permanent, how will he handle the new position? Landing on the Universe 6 planet of destruction. Goku takes a quick look around to find this place looks exactly like Beerus' planet, who briefly explains to him that all planets of destruction are the same. Vados wastes no time in greeting the gang, welcoming them all, especially Mr. Goku, or should she say Lord Goku now. Coyote Beerus requests they skip the formalities. The biggest thing on his mind is scouring the fridge to see what kind of food his brother happened to leave behind. Which sounds great to Goku as well, exclaiming he's starving. But didn't he just eat a ton while they were back on Earth? It seems Shin still has a bit to understand about the Saiyan. If there is food, you will eat it. Vados offers her apologies, but there will be no time to eat. The ritual is set to begin very soon. Something Goku wasn't expecting at all. Has it really been 24 hours already? Since nothing else can be done, Whis ushers the group off to the location. Making their way through a gigantic stairwell, our hero begins to grimace at something. Sensing his discomfort, the angel decides to inquire what it is that bothers him, stating he appears upset. And he just thinks this place is kinda depressing. He doesn't want to live here. Vados chimes in to say that there's no need to be put off by his surroundings. Once he becomes a god, he will have the entire universe to get to know. There will be countless planets he can visit for extended periods. He'll also have many tasks to fulfill. Champa left behind a lot of accumulated work. In addition, he'll also have to undergo a very special training. And innuendo aside, that's something Goku likes the sound of. Again, all of the other Supreme Kais and Destroyers shoot a glare of disdain at the Saiyan. He wonders if they're late by chance. But they're in fact 2 minutes early. The looks are simply because the ritual to form a new Hakaishin are always very tense. Glancing around the area, he doesn't spot Zeno, prompting him to ask if he's coming. Alas, no. Beerus tells him that Lord Zeno finds events such as these too boring. He himself actually agrees with that sentiment. He wishes he could refuse to attend these as well. That's when a trio of statues are spotted. One of which clearly Champa, the other two an unknown lizard-like being, though the third is uniquely familiar, the Kanatian swordsman known as the legendary hero to his people. Chrono with a mohawk. Naturally, Goku has to question what the deal is with these monuments, which are apparently all former destroyers who have ruled over the 6th universe. As he can see, Champa is the third. This actually shocks our hero a bit. So does this mean switching gods isn't really that all uncommon? Whis utters that even if a destroyer doesn't get ousted from their post, they will eventually leave under one circumstance or another. This could be because of retirement, dismissal, or even death. Which really shocks the Saiyan. He didn't think a god of destruction could actually be killed by someone. Aren't they like the top of the top? Who could possibly stand a chance? Beerus smirks. There are many powerful beings into what they refer to as existence. They gods of destruction may be very high on the power scale, but they are still far from the top. Once they begin his training in earnest, Otto will inform him of the story of existence and the mechanisms behind it. For now, all he needs to know is there are currently 3 generations of destroyers, making him the first deity of the 4th generation. In this, he kind of thinks he understands. He heard that Top was being trained to become the Hakaishin of Universe 11, and he has a hunch that Whis was preparing either him or Vegeta to be the one of Universe 7. That means they were probably thinking about who'd be the best to replace the god here for a long time now. Which, for the most part, is correct by Beerus, sneering that it looks like the idiot has actually figured out something for a change. But the process of transitioning generations is a slow one. It can take several millennia until all 12 universes complete the switch. The difference between the tenure of one Hakai to another can take up to millions of years. Meaning, for at least the 12 remaining universes, excluding the 6 that are erased, there are likely 2 former Kaioshin and destroyers for each, with the exception of Universe 6, which now has 3 former with the removal of Champa. The Grand Priest calls out to everyone. It is time for the ritual to form a new god of destruction to begin. Having set out 2 cushions, the Daishinkan instructs Goku to take a seat in the empty one. On the other, fruit of some kind. Looking at it closely, he asks if those are one of those golden fruits Shin told him about. Surprised at his knowledge, the Father of Angels informs that it is. It will become the new Supreme Kai of Universe 6. Once he's born, from that moment forward, the 2 of their lives will be intertwined. While feeling this whole thing is pretty wild, Goku simply goes along with it. As the Grand Priest announces to Lord Goku, he wants him to completely empty his mind. It's absolutely crucial that he does this. Now donning the uniform of a destroyer, the Saiyan himself states he doesn't really feel any different when he's greeted by a cute face. A new Kaioshin. After she greets him, Goku questions when she got here. He didn't even see her, which tends to happen when one is closing their eyes. Really looking her up and down. He didn't even know the Supreme Kais could be girls. Apparently never hearing the story of the West Supreme Kai way back when. But actually, Kaioshin have no gender, though some were born with a female appearance. She tells him her name is Lei, by the way, and it's nice to meet him. Who returns the formality. Grand Priest states he only hopes the pair can stay this cordial for the long haul, as from this point on, their lives are now intertwined. They will need to work together in harmony for the good of their universe. Goku raises his hand with a concern, beckoning the "Great Sir," but he's not so sure anything within his body has changed. Could it be something went wrong with the ritual? But no, everything has been executed perfectly to plan. He'll feel changes within his body gradually. But starting today, his body has stopped aging as divinity now courses through him. Vados chimes in that she must say, Goku's looking a whole lot better in that uniform than Champa ever did. Confused, our hero looks down to finally discover the change in attire, wondering when he put this on. But without answering the, let's say, rhetorical question, the Daishinkan announces to everyone in attendance, this is the newest Kaioshin, Lei, and Hakaishin, Son Goku. As all the other angels and destroyers bow, it's then told to the pair that from this moment forward, it's their mission to work together for the good of the Sixth Universe. It's their duty to maintain a perfect balance between destruction and creation, as well as preserve the good of the universe as a whole. Having said that, the ritual is now over, and everyone is dismissed. Whis turns to the Saiyan to question if he still doesn't feel any different. And now that he mentions it, he is starting to notice a little bit of change. He feels a very strange key inside of him. It seems a bit familiar, but he can't put his finger on it. The angel informs that what he feels is his energy of destruction. Signs are already beginning to arise in his body. But energy of destruction? He means like the Hakai. But not exactly. The Hakai is a specific technique used to destroy. Energy of destruction and the Hakai are aesthetically similar, but the latter is a byproduct of the former. The energy itself is much more simple to learn than the technique. This will become more apparent in time. And Goku hopes so, because right now not a lot of this is making sense to him. But he promises Beerus to put a lot of effort into his training as a god of destruction, and become very strong. When that happens, they can finally have their rematch. Almost giving a compliment, Beerus can't help but comment that the newest destroyer is so wet behind the ears, but he's already finding himself. Before turning to Whis and Shin, stating it's time to go. As they bid him farewell, Goku finds himself genuinely in uncharted territory for the first time in a while. Leaving us to Lei, what about her? Mentioned before, Champa and Fua left a lot to be accomplished in regard to keeping the universe in balance. Of course, more Champa's fault than Fua's. But the both of them have a lot of work in front of them and will have to prepare as much as possible. Goku must first focus on controlling his new powers. While he does that, the AI will travel to the sacred planet to learn everything required to become a good goddess of creation. Introducing Lord Kiboru. He's been waiting in the wing for the ritual to end. He can escort Lei to the Supreme Planet and teach her all she needs to know. The pair introduce each other, likely leading to a similar relationship as to that of Shin and Kibito. Lei turns to everyone to bid him goodbye. With her departure, Goku looks down at his clothes once again. Does he really have to wear this all the time? He doesn't think he really likes them. Though that attire is only mandatory in formal situations. As long as he's on his own planet, he can wear whatever he wants. Flo's beaming him back to his regular gi. The Saiyan feels much better. With all accounts settled, Vados then asks if he's ready to begin their training. But he barely got any rest because of this whole ritual thing. He kind of stayed up all night to be with Chi-Chi and the others. Does she think he could catch a little nap first? And of course, when would he like to be awoken? Does 35 years sound right? But 35 years? Does this mean he'll have to sleep for several decades like Beerus now? He was only thinking a couple hours. This causes Vados to let out a giggle. She had grown so accustomed to Champa's mannerisms, she forgot not all beings sleep as long as Nekosejans. It seems like things are going to look a lot different around here with Goku at the helm. Back in Universe 7 with Beerus. We spots the Destroyer sitting atop a tiny butte or tree stump, leading him to inquire if all's well. He's been perched in that same spot since they got back several hours ago. Though the cat assures he's simply enjoying the peace and quiet for a change. He hasn't gotten to enjoy the serenity of his planet with those Saiyans always training here. Whis presses the issue, likely getting a bit of joy seeing him wistful. Beerus relents and admits maybe it's a little too quiet without those two mortals here. He must have gotten used to those idiots always causing such a racket. The angel agrees. They surely are quite the characters. Especially Goku, always with that slack-jawed look on his face. Speaking of whom, Beerus is curious how Whis thinks Goku's going to handle this whole God of Destruction thing. He himself admitted he has no desire to destroy and such. Which is quite the intriguing question. He too is curious how he's going to handle the moral conflict such a position demands. One thing he is sure of, he certainly won't remain the same Goku they've come to know, before asking if that is what worries Beerus. Who claims he should know better than that by now? He's only minutely curious. He does not care about his personality. In fact, he thinks he might just take advantage of the silence with a quick nap. Wake him in 1 month and they'll go to Earth to get something to eat. Something which Whis has no resistance to. However, the truth is Beerus does care, at least a little more than he initially realized. The next day, after a long rest, Goku begins his training to master his God of Destruction powers. Vados explains that the first step of his training is to access his energy of destruction. There are several levels of refinement for this energy. He'll have to advance through these stages as he gains more experience from using it. From the very beginning, what he needs to do is feel the necessary emotions for destruction. But emotions? Does he access this energy through his feelings? In short, he does. When he's destroying something, it's natural that emotions such as anger will flow within him. And that's easy. He already learned how to control his emotions just from using Super Saiyan. Though it's not that simple. His anger, whether controlled or not, cannot be all over the place. It must have direction. An exclusive desire for pure destruction. He has to rid his mind of any hesitation, retaining only the need to destroy. And now that she mentions it, this sounds pretty familiar to something Vegeta said to him when Beerus was teaching him the Hakai. Vados then tells that the formula may be the same at first, but the result will not be. What a mortal can do is simulate this energy to the point of being able to use the Hakai. And if we remember, Goku himself managed this against Zamasu in the manga. But, again, this is merely a technique that comes from the energy itself, and a watered-down one at that. Vegeta's potential of using the Hakai is completely dwarfed by a destroyer's ability to use the energy of destruction. And given their rivalry, this is just fine by our hero. With that, she wants to see how he does in practice accessing it and directing his emotions. She instructs him to bring out his energy of destruction. commanding him to stop. Otto states that he's only using his regular ki. Doing this will not draw out his destroyer energy. A bit confused, Goku believes he felt all the anger he possibly could. What's he supposed to do now? And if he can't tap into the correct type of anger, all that's left to do is meditate on it. But meditate to become angry? And that's exactly right. By meditating, he'll be able to find the source of destruction within his mind. He'll have to familiarize himself with it. He's not really sure if he even follows, but he'll try. She tells him to dive deep into the depths of his mind, try to feel all of his ki and types of energy, and of course emotions which pass through his body and mind. He will certainly find, even if in the most intimate regions, a source of negative energy. This is often found in the darkest abyss of one's being. When he finds that energy, join it. He must make it his own. Though he must be very careful, as if his will is too weak, it'll consume him. Closing his eyes, Goku finds himself within himself. A dark, mysterious place. Actually, he can't believe somewhere like this exists within him. But wasting no time, he has to find this negative energy. And he thinks he's locked onto it almost instantly. Spotting a swirling orb, that must be it. Gives our heroes chills just getting close to it. Reaching out, he figures here goes nothing. Touching it, Goku has never felt such a sensation before. The pain is more intense than anything he's ever experienced. What is this blind fury? Revisiting the most emotional experiences in his life. Goku screams he will not be consumed. The darkness will obey his command and give him its power. As a shockwave emanates over the planet of destruction, Vados wonders if he actually got it. Or was he overwhelmed by it? With a thumbs up, he's got it. Now able to access his energy of destruction. The first step in his training is complete. What further challenges await our hero? And what, if any, confrontations will his loved ones face without him, back in Universe 7.